Part 4 of the Glock 17 review by Nutnfancy. Thanks for tuning in. We've talked a lot about the weight, firepower, durability, and reliability. I need to talk about that here in a sec. Ergonomics, simplicity, accessories. We're going to cover price and track record in this final installment on the Glock 17 pistol. First off, I didn't mention the reliability. Again, this is a safety check pistol. It is indeed empty. Triggers to the rearward position. We know it's safe. We're still going to treat it as it's loaded, as if it was loaded in a safe direction. Moving on. The Glocks are extremely reliable, especially in the 9mm loading in my experience. That's not to say that your gun in your Colt 1911 from whatever manufacturer, maybe Kimber, maybe your Smith & Wesson, maybe your Beretta, maybe your H&K, maybe your Kel-Tec, well, maybe not Kel-Tec, but other ones are not reliable. They probably are. But in my experience, in the thousands and thousands of rounds I've shot through Glocks, both in duty and personal use, I've had very few jams. Now, that's not to say I haven't had some jams. I have. One of them was in very cold conditions in North Dakota, specifically 20 below zero. And I also had a frame, a sight frame on the Glock 19 I was shooting at the time. And I somehow suspect that frame was tweaked by that sight frame. It's an AimTech sight frame and I had a red dot sight on it. So I kind of think that had something to do with it. However, I have seen jams in Glocks. That being said though, the mean time between failure in a Glock design is pretty darn high. And I think it ranks right up there with SIGs. SIG is probably my all-time standard for reliability. Amazing, amazing reliability. But the Glock is pretty darn near that. So, extremely reliable. Now, all you have to do is look at an article on the Glocks, specifically Glock's website, and they'll talk about all the extreme tests they've subjected their design to. Mud, sand, cold, dragging it, throwing it, you name it. The Glock has survived. That gets to its durability again. But it's also extremely reliable, even under those adverse conditions. And in that respect, that's not hype, that's truth. Though everything Glock says about their pistols is absolutely truth. Or absolutely true. Excellent reliability that I've had. Now, I mentioned that in my opinion the 9mm is more reliable than perhaps the 40 or other calibers in Glock. I'll stick to that assertion. Again, that's based on my own experience. But don't get me wrong, I still think the Glocks in other calibers are extremely reliable. Whether they are 357 SIG, 40 cal, 45 Glock auto pistol, 45 ACP, on and on. I think they're still excellent and they're highly reliable, and I think you could bet your life on them. So, in terms of reliability, it's just an amazing design. How about price? Well, no quality semi-automatic service pistol like this Glock 17 is super cheap, nor should it be. It's going to be around $500. But that being said, it still comes in less than a lot of other pistol designs. A lot. You get a Kimber 1911 that's tricked out, beautiful, and they do have some beautiful guns, but you're looking at around $1,000. Yeah, I know, you can go above and below that. You might have your best friend's uncle's cousin who can give you a deal, but I'm talking just general street price. The Glock, in my opinion, is one of the lower priced, superb quality pistols out there. It's less than a SIG, that's for sure, and yet it provides pretty much everything that a SIG does, and actually more in terms of weight. It's lighter. The price for a Glock is a good value, no matter what model you choose. It's just excellent. Finally, let's talk about the track record of the Glock auto pistol. The reason you see so many Glocks, plural, strapped to your local police officers is because it's such a good gun. And it is so proven. And it's simple. Speaking of which, when I talked about simplicity and I did the takedown, I failed to mention the trigger. And I'll do that now. The trigger is just simple. It has 3 safety devices, and I'm not going to go into the safe action pistol trigger design by Glock. Enough is said on their website. If you want to know about it, you can go to it. Just suffice it to say, I like the simple design of a Glock. I like that I have no external safety levers to fool with. It's a very good high stress design, as long as you use proper training. And again, this gets back to the safety aspect. Proper training with a Glock is, of course, like all pistols, we keep our finger outside the trigger guard until we're ready to shoot and on target. The ADs, or accidental discharges, you've seen from police officers, there's probably lots of videos out there where police officers that under stress fail to do that. They brought their finger inside the trigger guard, placed their trigger on the trigger, and actually started taking that trigger up, probably unconsciously under stress. And they ended up popping around off. Not cool. That's a training issue, not a design issue. The simplicity of the Glock trigger is outstanding, and I prefer it. I love it. Now, that being said, also, and I mentioned there's a couple things I need to add here, and that is the polarizing effect of the trigger. There are some, including myself, initially at least, that hate the Glock trigger. When I first started shooting Glocks, I did not like that long take up and what is essentially a soft or a light double action only trigger. I didn't like it until I got used to it, and then I love it. Now, that being said, the Glock trigger is not a super fast trigger like the SIG is. The SIG blows it away in terms of speed as far as I'm concerned. A double action first shot going to single action and a light take up like the SIG is superior in terms of speed to the Glock. I can rack a SIG auto pistol pretty much full auto rates. At least it seems like it. People who've been next to me going, dude, you got a sub gun? No, it's just a SIG. Now, the Glock is not that fast, at least the way I shoot it. And again, these are my experiences and how I shoot the gun. I can still shoot the Glock very quickly and very accurately, which I'll talk about in a second. However, the trigger, some just hate because it's that relatively long take up, empty, but it does have a very crisp let off. Another thing, and this is a hit on the Glock design, and one that has some credence, and that is it does not have a reset capability. Second strike, in other words. In other words, if I have a bad primer on a gun, and this is probably why the military did not choose a Glock, I have to rack the slide again in order to reset my striker. It's a striker design. Personally, using quality ammunition, which I always try to do, I've never had that be an issue. And if it is an issue, let's say I pull the trigger, bam, nothing happens, I'm going to tap, rack, and ready like I always do. I'm not going to try to double tap that round. What I'm going to do is put a new round in the chamber, and that one goes bye-bye. So the trigger, some people love it, some people hate it. I have learned to love the Glock trigger. I did not initially love it. Very simple, and it goes to the simplicity again of Glock pistols. How about the accuracy? Well, to prove that point, I'm going to cycle through some targets that I've kept. Here's my Glock 19. Right-handed shoot. And that's dated back all the way to 1989. Pretty darn accurate. Another Glock 19 shot. That's at 15 yards using 124 grain NATO. And these are just a sampling. Here's a Glock 34, 15 yards shooting NATO rounds. This is me shooting. I'm not the best shooter out there, but I can hold my own. Glock 19 again. Excellent accuracy. Another Glock 19. This is at 15 yards. And that was standing. I was pretty proud of that grouping. That's hard to do, 15 yards standing. Make one ragged hole. Very tough to do. Finally, here's a Glock 26. This is at 7 yards with Corbon ammunition, 115 grain jacket hollow point plus P. That suckers provide a lot of blast, by the way. Time to wrap it up. As usual, I'm running out of time. Talked a lot in this 4-part series about the Glock, why I still think the Glock 17 and all its brothers still set the standard in terms of all these things, even in 2008. Anytime a new design comes out, and there are some outstanding designs out there, I evaluate them in terms of these things. Reliability also, and accuracy is in there as well. The Glock 17 trumps in most categories. Still in 2008. And of course there's a lot of great designs out there that do just about as good, but for my money, Glock 17 is still pretty much at the top of my list. That's not to say I won't change as years go on, but I have a lot of experience and trust in this awesome pistol design.